Welcome future leaders, my name is Benjamin Selbyhill, Leadership Through Lifestyle Coach at I Choose Awesome. I work with young leaders that are wanting to make a difference within the future generations and who are passionate about wanting to rise the ranks within their company, achieve a leadership position and all the perks that go with that leadership position, the pay rise, the corner office, the fancy car, but underpinning all of that, they really want to make a difference and be a leader of the future who has the potential to change the world. Now, the majority of my clients that I see are young leaders. They're usually fresh out of university and they come to me in a state of a little bit of anxiety and uncertainty because they're not quite sure what this environment is in the corporate world. You know, it's completely different to that of university. They don't know how to get recognised. They know they want to be a leader, but they don't know what it is they need to do in order to get recognised and climb their corporate ladder fast and assume a greater position of influence. And it is challenging, undoubtedly. I mean, we've all been there and I've experienced a lot over the course of my years working with clients as such that it's a work in progress. So you shouldn't feel bad about yourself, but there are certain things that you can do in order to get recognised and fast track your leadership journey and your leadership development. So I've put together this 4-part series as a means to give you the tools and implement the 4 primary changes or the 4 initial changes that you need to make in order to get recognised as a future leader, to assume a leadership position and take on that everything that goes with it, and then obviously receive the pay rise that works hand in hand with that. So if you apply everything that I talk about, it is possible to achieve a leadership position and get a promotion and or pay rise within 3 to 6 months. But before we get into the crux of the information, I just want to take you to the side for a minute, because it's one thing just simply wanting a pay rise, but you've got to think about what goes hand in hand with that. In order to get a pay rise, you need to elevate everything that you are. You need to elevate what you're prepared to take on from a responsibility standpoint. You need to be prepared to be a leader. So what we focus on is improving you and developing you as a leader. If you develop as a leader and implement all these changes that we recommend, your development will be fast-tracked. Management within your office will identify you as a leader, and then you'll get the recognition, you'll get the job promotion, you'll get the pay rise. They work hand in hand. If you simply want the pay rise without being identified as a leader or developing yourself as a leader, then I'm sorry, this probably isn't for you. Because you need to be prepared to take the onus on yourself. It all lies on you, and everything falls back on you. So you can take the information as you will, but at the conclusion of this four-part series, you'll have the means by which you can get identified and achieve that job promotion and pay rise. So to today's video, part 1. We're going to focus on part 1 of the 60-part program that we run all our clients through, named the Future Leader Blueprint. The first 4 parts that you're going to experience are game-changing. That's why we've put together this little video. Part 1 today is all about your values. So at the end of this video today, you'll be in a position where you understand your values more succinctly, perhaps more so than now, or you might not even have thought about what your values are, but you'll understand what your values are and understand their importance in helping you to become the leader you want to be and being identified as a leader. So if you don't apply this information, well then the outcomes are fairly obvious and it probably won't change your situation all that much. But you'll be in the position you're currently in, you're probably a little bit unconfident or lacking confidence, a little bit nervous as well, and you're not really influencing people, you're not really leading by example. Ultimately, you'll be stuck where you are. That's if you don't apply the information we're going to talk about. On the flip side of that, if you apply everything we talk about and you apply it to the nth degree, You're going to become more influential and confident in the way that you go about things. And you're going to lead by example, which is a massive thing when it comes to leadership. Fundamentally, you'll be on that path towards achieving that aspiration of assuming a leadership position and getting the pay to match it as well. So there are a few key principles that are going to allow us to manipulate our values and understand the importance of them. First and foremost, we need to know our values. So what are your values? Identify what your key values are and what type of values you want to assume. Integrity, honesty, discipline, relationships you might value, family. Whatever your values are, write them down. You want about the top 5, a list of the top 5 values you want, or the values that you possess. And what are the actions that support those? You know, if it's family, do you spend time with your family? If it's honesty, are you always honest? What reinforces those? Your values are like your internal compass. If you can understand your values, you understand what it is that you're doing, but more importantly, the reason why. It's said that your values, or anyone's values, are the importance that they place. It's where you place your importance in the world. So if you imagine you've got a decision to make, you're going to be influenced by all these values that you hold in your head. So for instance, if the alarm clock goes off in the morning and you value your health, you're going to get up and exercise because that action is congruent with that value. If you don't value your health that much, you'll probably be someone who just stays in bed and hits the snooze button, which I'm sure we can all relate to as well. So after we know what our values are, we need to identify the values that we want, our desirable leadership values. What are the values that are going to hold you in high esteem? Are they integrity, truth, honesty, all these types of things? What's going to hold you apart? What's going to identify you as a leader? Identify your top 5 leadership values, the values that you want to assume. So if we look at a famous leader of history, Mahatma Gandhi, he was renowned for his non-violence value. He valued that wholeheartedly. All the protesting that he did against the British to break away from them was all of a non-violent nature. Now, that was at the very nucleus of what he was about. Had he lashed out in violence in any of those protests, would he have been congruent with what he was about, with his values? Probably not. And he wouldn't have been as effective in the process. In order to be as effective as a leader, your actions need to be congruent and consistent with the values you want to assume. The third principle, you've got to make a decision. It's a question, this one. Leader or follower? It's entirely up to you. You can't be both. As I stated earlier, if you want to be a leader, you've got to take on responsibility. You can't just follow the crowd. You've got to be prepared to make the hard decisions and stick true to yourself as opposed to what everyone else is doing. You can't have it both ways. You can't have the pay rise without developing as a leader. Just like in Remember the Titans, which is a movie I'm sure we've all seen, but Herman Boone, the coach, he came in and he broke down that racism divide between his team. Now, the team ended up choosing to step up and be leaders and elevate themselves above the racism that was present within their community. But you can't just go with the crowd. You've got to be prepared to step up and stand up for your values. And then lastly, the key to great values and the key to setting strong values, this is one that I recommend to all my clients. And this will fast track you up that corporate ladder. The fourth principle is put health number 1. If you can put your health number 1, you're going to allow to get more out of yourself than you ever could. If your body and your health is in a superior state to those around you, then you're going to be more effective and more efficient, and you're going to be the best version of yourself. Anything less than that, and you're going to be falling by the wayside, or you're not going to be as good as what you could be if you weren't looking after yourself. Some of the most prominent leaders of the world are renowned for their stance on health. Richard Branson, exercises every morning. Michelle and Barack Obama, the president and the first lady, exercise every day. 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, they get it done and they invest that time back into their health, and it pays dividends. I had a client named Jennifer. She worked in a hospital and she had like a lower level management position, but she came to us because she was struggling to get her staff on side. She couldn't influence them the way that she'd hoped, and she felt as if she was losing them. So we started to assess her problem a little bit, and we discovered that her values, whilst she wanted to project herself as, this fit and, this leader of integrity that was prepared to do anything and get her hands dirty, her actions weren't consistent with that. She wasn't walking the talk, as they say it. So we assessed where her values were. She established the values she wanted to assume, and she identified the actions that she needed to do, she needed to engage in order to ensure that those values came to light. As a result, when she started making those changes, she started to win back her team. When she started to get her hands dirty and do the jobs that previously she was just delegating, she started to draw the team back because they could see that those values shine through and that she was someone with integrity that could walk the talk. So your values, they play a significant role. If you can identify the values that you want and then implement the actions necessary to make sure that that's going to ensure that they're conveyed to the people around you, suddenly you become more influential in the process and people start to stop and listen. They listen to you. So why is it that you want great values? I want you to ask yourself that question. What is it that great values and being consistent with those values could bring to your leadership position or bring to your positioning? How can it help get you noticed? Just think about that for a moment. Now, it can be quite profound, the impact of your values, which is why it's ground zero and why we talk about it in the first part of this video series. In summary, ensure that you identify your values, your current values. Then identify the leadership values you want and the actions that are reflective of those. Make that decision. Are you a follower or are you a leader? It's completely up to you. And then lastly, if you really want to get a head start on on your close competition, put health number one. All right, that's about all we've got for the first part of this 4-part video series. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how to get you on the leadership radar, your fast-track way of getting recognised by management or your direct superior, and how to put you leaps and bounds in front of your competition. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. My name's Benjamin Selbyhill. Keep choosing awesome in the interim, and we'll see you for the next video.